Good morning. Sorry.
Good morning from him. Go on.
Good morning and
Say it again.
Good morning. Welcome to Mirador Television. I've been used to been the one doing that this week. Sorry for interrupting you immediately.
Perfectly okay. I'm back on home territory, not out in West London this morning. So feeling much more comfortable about things, and hopefully we'll have a good morning session. A lot going on, of course, in politics, as the thing says this morning. A week in politics is too long. A day in politics is turning out to be too long. And Rishi Sunak has hit the ground running with a new cabinet. And there are some things that I think I'm not at all happy about in terms of his selection of people. But then again, it's his choice, and he can try and make it. I am not a Sunak fan. I'll be quite straightforward about it. But then I'm straightforward about the other 650 of them. I'm not a fan of them either. They're all a bunch of jobless, worthless, whatever. So it's my view, and actually the papers are very cynical this morning. It's my view that we're in for more of the same, and that it won't be long before the good old conservative tail is wagging the dog, and they'll get us closer and closer to an election, which the Tories will lose. But they're in such a bubble in Westminster, is they have no idea about these things at all. None whatsoever. All right, shall we take a look at a few headlines to begin with?
Yeah. So the first headline this morning is from The Independent. Sunak's crisis cabinet is the headline this morning. It's got a bit of small print. If you'd like to read this bit.
Yeah,
there you go.
What I'll do, I think, is I'll read that bit. Yeah, right. Most of the front pages this morning give details about which Conservative MPs will be in what it calls the new Prime Minister's Rishi Sunak's crisis cabinet of political rivals. He calls it a unity cabinet. Unity in Westminster at the moment. The I lays out who is backing government, including a return from Home Secretary Suella Braverman. Is it Braverman or Braverman? Braverman. Less than a week after she resigned for breaching the ministerial code, as well as reporting there was also a proper clear out with 11 ministers sacked. Yeah, but some of the old names brought in. Don't tell me about a clear out, when in fact, Michael Gove is back on the front bench. For God's sake, the most conniving bugger that you could ever come across. So it's not going to get any better, is it? No, it is not. It is not. They're fresh out of ideas. They're fresh out of people. Personally, I would go to the people. I would go to the country.
Well, here's the thing about this: is Boris said he wouldn't run because of unity issues. He couldn't unite. He couldn't be MP because the party wouldn't be united. The thing is, it's the MPs who didn't like him. If you actually look at the statistics on who likes him as Conservative voters, you'll find he's very, very, very popular. More popular than Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss.
Well,
it's the backbenchers that are the problem.
Yeah, Westminster is playing politics. The thing is that whatever happens is a good third of these people will not be there anymore. And if in fact you can refresh a half of the 2/3 that are left, you might stand a chance of having a decent government again. But at the moment, you stand no chance whatsoever. You can flip a coin and just simply put Labour in power. It'd be exactly the same thing. They're just as bad as the other lot. And actually, I am personally getting fed up of the poncing that goes on with all the parties saying how wonderful they are. And the Liberals are the most sickening of the lot because they're doing nothing. But they're absolutely wonderful according to all the popular bullshit that they put out. Okay, The Sun. The PM brings back familiar faces with a headline, "At least I got rid of the other Mog, Larry." And that's it's got the cat, the Moggy, that belongs to number 10. What he's talking about is Rees-Mogg. Jacob Rees-Mogg has resigned as the business secretary as of yesterday. So Rishi's reshuffle has put Rees-Mogg on the back burner. I feel a bit sorry, really, because Rees-Mogg is one of the colourful people. He says what he thinks. But there we go.
Boris, before he was prime minister, he was calling people letterbox faces. And then, actually, I'm going to take myself seriously.
Okay. The Daily Star. Oh, our good old Star.
Oh, they have James Corden in the...
Shake it all about. Whoa, Rishi, says the Star. Does the hokey cokey? Oh, whoa! Rishi does the hokey cokey. It just shows how out of touch they are. The people who are working for some of these newspapers. It says the hokey cokey is a children's dance, not a children's dance. It was brought in by the Americans during the war. For God's sake, it is an adult dance.
Seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. You do the hokey cokey. I've never seen kids doing it.
I thought it was the pokey. Hokey pokey. I don't know what.
No. Well, I mean,
I've never seen it written down before.
It's had its aberrations down the years. People have called it the hokey pokey and so on, but it is the hokey cokey. And I can remember as a little boy, adults doing this dance brought in by the American troops. You do the hokey cokey and you turn inside out or something. That's what it's all about. You hey, you do the hokey cokey. Oh, you do the hokey cokey. Right, I've scared you all off now. But but here's some kid writer who thinks it's a children's dance. Ha ha ha! How do I believe the rest of you? Never mind. Right. The Daily Star takes a playful look at Mr. Sunak's choices through the analogy of the children's. There it is, the children's song, the hokey cokey. For God's sake. Don't if you're not sure about something, don't type it. Don't put it in. You can just say analogy of the song. Hokey cokey. To examine at who is in or out, noting the return of Dominic Raab. Right. The paper opts to use a graphic of a brain in a jar over a picture after dubbing the returning Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister the man with no brain. Good old Star. The Metro. There's a picture on the front page of the Rishi meeting the King.
They've got it on the front page of the Mail as well.
Have they? Same picture?
Same picture.
Right.
Same exact picture.
The Metro says Kings can only get better. Sunak crowned new Prime Minister and promises we will fix Britain. The paper leads on Sunak's meeting King Charles in Buckingham Palace. So he was formally made Prime Minister.
They have a huge advert on the front page as well.
Who?
Of the Metro.
Oh, right. Confused?
Confused.com. That's
yes, that's right. It's an app, isn't it? That tries to help you if you don't understand what it is you're looking for. It tries to help you. Is that what it is?
No.
Confused? Oh, right. What is it?
I'm pretty sure it's like a insurance website because insurance is confusing.
Oh, right.
But they've got a big advert on the front page. That's the Metro. I don't like the Metro.
They sold that at a premium too, I bet.
Probably not.
The Daily Mail. Yes, you're right. It's the same picture with Sunak generally selecting to the King. Leave it to me, Your Majesty, says the headline. And the Mail says Sunak's pledge to fix the mistakes of his predecessor, Liz Truss, and details of who has been given jobs in his cabinet. The front page carries a large image of the Prime Minister meeting King Charles. Daily Express. Undaunted, Rishi vows to fix mistakes. Oh, there we are. These are all promises. Right. Mr. Sunak's vow to earn the nation's trust by tackling the profound economic crisis facing the UK. Like other front pages, the Express carries a picture of King Charles, but this time the story is about the new monarch's dismay over the lack of teenagers learning practical skills. That's interesting. The king is, people aren't learning to be carpenters and plumbers.
Caring about the commoners?
Eh?
Don't worry. I was
Did you
being
say
sarcastic.
commoners?
No, I was being sarcastic. Don't worry.
Ah, right. Well, perhaps he can fix a kitchen sink. I don't know.
I doubt it.
The Daily Telegraph. Mistakes were made. I'll fix them. Yes. We've heard it all before. And the Telegraph says that Mr. Sunak has seen a boost to his premiership already as borrowing costs have recovered following the mini budget chaos of the last few weeks. And the paper leads on Mr. Sunak's speech about how he will fix the mistakes made by Ms. Truss. So there you are, it's Mr. Fix It. Everything is going to be all right, chaps. You can start to relax. The Financial Times. What a pity that Stuart isn't here this morning. Sunak confronts profound crisis. And the FT says rising food costs in the UK. The price of a bowl of tomato pasta has risen by 50% or 58% as inflation hits the country's poorest people the hardest. The paper also looks at what decisions Mr. Sunak may make as Prime Minister as he prepares to confront the cost of living crisis. Okay, where we go now. The Times. I'll fix mistakes, vows Sunak, as he brings in a continuity cabinet. Oh, people are calling it all sorts of cabinets. But on the front page of the Times, it says that there was an unusual silence from reporters and photographers as Mr. Sunak arrived at Downing Street on Tuesday, as nobody shouted any salutations or asked questions. I wonder why that is. Not like the press. The Mirror. The King hails Pride of Britain hero. What's that all about? Crisis facing latest Prime Minister. Meanwhile, in the real world, the Mirror highlights the cost of living. It says that's a crisis facing real people. And he is going to get to grips with his new role. The lead story looks at how some basic food items have risen almost 2/3 in price in a year. And the paper goes on to add that shoppers are pleading for help with sharing food costs. The issue of the food banks. The food banks apparently running short of food as well.
Yeah, they are.
I must say that it didn't look as I sometimes see the food bank people outside Waitrose, and I've come out a couple of times recently, and it does look as if they're struggling to get people to donate food. With the present cost of food, the prices going up, I guess everybody wants to keep hanging on to what they want, what they bought. But you were going to say?
I don't know.
Sulking.
I just realised I shouldn't say it because it's technically illegal.
Oh dear.
I'll say it anyway, actually.
Okay, go on.
So what I do is when the food bank people have the food bank bins, the big baskets inside the store, as they do in my local co-op, I always just pick something up off the shelf and chuck it in there without paying. So I just, as I'm walking around, I'll walk past the food bank thing and just chuck something in there.
So actually, the store pays.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I feel a certain amount of justice in that. Well done, Max.
That's why I was hesitant to say it, because it is technically illegal.
Illegal, yeah. What the hell? For a tin of condensed milk, I doubt if anybody's going to get that excited.
No.
The Guardian, the Prime Minister's reshuffle gamble on the first day in charge. Leave it to me, Your Majesty, is the headline, and it's the same picture of the two men meeting, the King and the Prime Minister, and it said features a photograph of the new Prime Minister shaking hands with King Charles III, marking the beginning of what the paper calls a new dawn for Britain. Yeah, we've seen lots of new dawns. Okay, that's more the rough outline of the paper. Shall we go to the park for a moment?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about showing this briefly.
Okay, what's this briefly?
This is what you were showing me this morning, the buskers.
Oh, right, okay,
It's 30 seconds long. Do you want to explain
it?
It's
a nice little thing, yeah. Away you go.
All right, well, this is just people in the precinct busking, and we came across it on the computer, so we're going to show it. Here we go.
Yeah.
So that was just a random video we found hidden away on Keith's computer. That was in the precinct. When did you say it was?
About 2 or 3 years ago, I think, not too long ago. Fairly a modern group. I haven't seen them again. Mind you, that doesn't mean too much because I don't go down to the precinct that often. But it is a great place for buskers. And some of them are quite good. Quite good musicians go down there. So the precinct can be quite a lively place, particularly on a weekend, but in the weekday too.
All right, would you want to still go down to the park?
Let's go down to the park, shall we?
All right, here we go for a quick breather.
19 degrees today. It's really getting quite warm again.
The weather is all over the place. Like the other day, it was freezing cold, but today it's quite nice.
Yeah, today is going to hit 19, which is almost summery weather.
Not many clouds in the sky, blue sky. It's lovely today.
Yeah, there is going to be scattered showers apparently, and a light wind. And I can always tell the light wind because the light wind removes my hat. Whoosh! It goes, and there I am in a very unseemly fashion, chasing down the road, trying hard to recover my hat. So a light breeze, and that's enough to lift your hat.
It says here that it might be raining from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Right. Much of a rainfall?
No, it'll be raining tomorrow morning as well.
Right. Okay. Well, there you are. Nice enough to go out, but the odd shower. So either take a brolly or an overcoat or something, or a Macintosh, and be prepared for a bit of a sprinkling. Where do you want to go now, my boy?
So I didn't have enough time, unfortunately, to look into behind the headlines, but here we do have the reshuffling his new cabinet.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in particular that I like here? No one. No one here. Naeem Zahawi is back. No one. There's no one. No one's good.
No one's good. Right.
There's no one good in the current administration.
Right. There are little bits and pieces locally. There's nothing terribly dramatic. A Brighton statue of Queen Victoria was repaired after losing an arm.
Oh,
dear,
yes,
oh dear,
I saw
dear.
that. I saw that.
Yes. And Brighton and Hove City Council announced the next stage of a playground revamp. Parents campaigning are furious at deeply unfair ongoing school travel issues. So a few things are kicking around, but not anything to get us that interested, I think. There's a Central Lewis bit is silly, just chit chat. I mean, I'm so old that I outstripped all this stuff. What were you chuckling about?
So we'll go to in a moment the first ever show we did because it's coming up to the 5-year anniversary of Mirador.
Oh, right.
Soon, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll play the first ever show we did. I think that's when did Mirador start?
Well, Mirador in its present form started about 2016. Something like
16, yeah. Really?
16.
I thought it started in early 2017.
Well, it could be, but remember, I mean, for those who are techno nerds, the way that actually it started in its present form, what we did was under the title Eye to Eye Television, we made a weekly program for a latest TV, which was under the new franchises, to gear it to Lewis, because latest TV was having difficulty getting through to Lewis. It was going west, but not east, and we did that for quite a while. Then there was a kerfuffle between companies. We won't actually rehash it because it was you said this, I said that, you said that, and that's unseemly. I don't want to get involved in it. But I had to restart the whole thing from scratch. And the way I did it was based on the new technology, which our colleague in the United States, Melissa Conti, alerted me to. And she said Facebook is bringing out a new form of communication with your phone. But for the moment, it is only available to film stars, to the film community. But it's bound to become available to everybody else. And a week or two later, sure enough, it did. And that is the technology we use today, where you can use your phone to broadcast direct.
Anyone can.
Yeah. And so what I did, but anyone couldn't up until about 2017. I mean, it was quite remarkable. We think that these things have been with us forever, and they haven't. Some of these things have come into being in very recent times. So at 5:30 in the morning, I used to sit there outside the Cafe Nero on the high street, and I would rant and I would rave. There were a nice little cadre of people inside who would give us little bits and pieces of, for instance, the bursar of the old grammar school was there, and he did quite a bit for us because they took the students off to, I don't know, Malaysia or somewhere. Stephen Catlin got his start with us. So there were quite a few, and that's really how Mirador got its start. And it would have been about, properly, excuse my hiccups, about 2017. So keep your eye on that, Max. We should have some sort of a party to celebrate our birthday.
Yeah, it's coming up. It should be coming up in less than 6 months.
In fact, I can feel an itch. Wonder if they got any champagne behind the bar. Oh, it's a bit early, isn't it?
One thing before we go to that show, what I was laughing at before I mentioned that, what I was laughing at was what Biden said the other day, congratulating Rishi Sunak on becoming prime minister as the youngest prime minister and the first Asian prime minister. He didn't say Rishi Sunak. As always, he mumbled the words and misspoke and all that, as Biden usually does. He was congratulating the new PM Rashid Sunak. Congratulations to Rashid Sunak. So that was...
Yes, President Biden. we know how difficult it is to get your tongue around names. It's not Biden. Oh, it's Biden. All right. Okay, I'm terribly sorry, President Biden.
Shall Biden.
Yes, yeah. You should get Rashid Sunak wrong.
Rashid.
Quite unforgivable. Oh dear.
Yeah. Shall Biden. Okay. We will go to the first ever program. Here we go.
Pretty much on that. Hi, welcome to Mirador Television. This is local TV, but probably not local TV as you know it. We don't have much cash, so for one thing, we have to do much of our stuff outside. We don't even have a studio. So we don't even have a weather presenter. But we will try to bring you the weather. So when you see me with an umbrella, it's raining. Oops. So when I have my walking stick, it's fine.
Yes, we were. Murdered by gambler. Pensioner died after death.
And if I'm wearing a bikini, it's hot. Not that you're going to see me in a bikini very often. The body's gone, you see. Not a pretty sight. But when it comes to mixed weather, well, we really have a problem. It's silly of us to serve up the same old rubbish that you can see on regular television, so we're serving up rubbish of our own. But I hope that it's nutty enough to bring you back to watch us again. Stick with us, Nutty TV. Now, what's what?
What is a weekly look about the interesting things that happen in our town? Those of us who live here know about them, but to a visitor, they might find them very interesting. This is ancient Keir Street. It's said that in the early 1800s, the Prince Regent won a bet by driving a coach and four down it. The Norman castle in Lewes, though small, is one of the oldest in the country. A wooden Saxon fort stood on the mound until 1080. Then William de Varenne, the first Lord of Lewes, built this stone bailey as his stronghold. A tiny castle for a tiny town. Famous celebrations of November the 5th. They're huge. Almost every one of the townsfolk takes part. He goes way back before the gunpowder plot to Queen Mary's burning of religious martyrs in the centre of the town in 1556. Free beer? Of course not. But this pub, the Brewers Arms, is one of several independently owned pubs in the town. At one time in the 1800s, Lewes had 63 pubs and 17 breweries, and just a population of 9,000, but no free beer. Well, there are the Mirador cameras trying to keep a visual record of what goes on in the town. The famous Bluebell Railway, 11 miles of track carrying lovingly restored steam trains from Sheffield Park, just outside Lewes, to East Grinstead. The line opened in 1882. As the name suggests, the railway runs through wonderful bluebell woods, worth every puff. This is indeed a rare sight. Southern Rail was on strike so frequently, trains in motion were not often seen. This is the annual raft race down the River Ouse from Lewes to Newhaven. It's more than 40 years old. Raises funds for charity and contestants build their own rafts and try to sink the opposition. Staying with water, this is a lovely spot in Lewes known as the Pells. It was given to the town in 1603. It's the oldest operating swimming water pool in Britain. Lewes has several charming and interesting cafes, despite the presence of dull, uninteresting chain cafes in the town. The Ports boast the best breakfast, and it's certainly very, very good. I can attest to that. Then there's the Runaway. Despite attempts by the rapacious railway barons to shut it, this bistro has been on Lewes Station for more than 30 years. Famous for its bacon sandwiches, Princess Di once stopped by for one. My favourite spot, especially at 6 o'clock on a summer morning, is the Priory. The building started in 1084, just 18 years after the Norman invasion. The Priory withstood the Battle of Lewes in 1264 and raids from the French during the 100 Years' War, but fell to the vandalism of Thomas Cromwell in 1535, as Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries. This is the Crown Court, and Assizes has been located in Lewes since early Norman times and has seen many famous trials. Finally, the stocks. Stocks have been used in Lewes for more than 9 centuries. Some say the punishment is still on the statute books. These are old stocks from around the country, but Lewis's stocks still sit in the grounds of the castle. Lots more interesting places in Lewis. If you live here, enjoy exploring. If you're a visitor, take a tour. We're rich in history. Oh, Jerry, what have you been up to?
Yeah, what's on then? Well, it may be. Anything else you want to know about what's going on in Lewis? There's a very good local publication, Viva Lewis, jam-packed full of information of places, events, and the happenings in this little town. Okay, time for my pal Jenry.
Oh, just
there we go.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So I've been looking through the Daily Mail here, and I found quite a few interesting stories today. I have yesterday's Daily Mail still in my bag because me and Liza found a very interesting story in there. Actually, some guy put a card chip in his hand so he can just go like that to pay for things contactlessly. That's in the Daily Mail yesterday, so we'll go through that in depth.
Yeah, that's interesting. I did actually see something on that on one of the television channels. That it was something like a science program, looking ahead to what's going to happen in the future. But the story says it's happening now. People are doing that now.
Yeah.
And you get a chip in your hand, and everything is there.
Yeah. And the government can track you, obviously, through your hand.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
So
I mean, these things are fine as long as you switch them off.
You can't switch it off.
No, but I was saying they would be fine if you could switch them off. Being able to shop like that for convenience is fine. The only thing is that, as you point out, it's permanent.
Mm-hmm.
If it can be actually, if you could go and switch it off and then switch it back on. So when you went to the supermarket or whatever, I want to pay for something. I don't want the government to know any more about me.
Just use cash. That's what I do.
Well, actually, yeah. I suspect it's going to become more and more difficult to use cash. It's a sad thing, but
Yeah.
it is.
Well, we got kicked out of Ask Italia. Not kicked out, but we're not going back, is what I meant to say. Ignore what I just said. Sorry. Let me restart. We are not going back to Ask Italia across the street because we went there for dinner, lunch with me, you, my mother, and Liza. We all went for lunch.
Right.
We got food. We had pizza. We had dessert. We had drinks. We had coffee. And they've always accepted cash. And we went there the other day, and we went up to paying cash, and they said, "Oh, by the way, we don't accept cash anymore."
An arbitrary change. Yeah.
And there was nothing to tell us.
Well, let us say now, because I think these people should be punished for treating that. Is don't go to Ask.
No, we wouldn't.
No, not just us. You don't go to Ask. These people have got to be punished for treating their customers with such disdain. And I'll tell you something about Ask that I don't like, is that the staff are so sloppily dressed that it gives me no confidence whatsoever that they know what the hell they're doing.
Yes.
They're shabby, to say the least. And if they're shabby, then what the hell's going on in the kitchen? Huh?
Good question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, where we go for our usual lunch, we're very happy with. I mean, we've only had one incident there that's been a bit, but
Where's that?
The Rights of Man.
Oh, the Rights of Man. There's the Works Canteen.
Very good food.
Yes, good food. Normally, very good service.
Nice
and in the summer, you've got the option of what it's got is a terrace dining area, which is just great. And then you have the pub area downstairs, and then at the back, a most delightful dining room.
And they have
good
an
old traditional pub dining room, yeah, with a mural on it, yeah. Yes, I like the Rights of Man very much, and not only that, but the waiters and the waitresses are very attentive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we have a minor issue with them?
Yeah, we didn't know we had to book one time, but that's the
that's
only
right.
ever issue I've ever had there. But it was
They
sorted
always
out
try
in
to
the
find
end.
a place for us, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do.
Yeah.
They're very good over there. Enjoy the food as well. Definitely recommend it.
Right. The Rights of Man. We're not recommending it. We don't want anybody else to go because we don't want to have a problem getting in.
It is very good food, though. So, we'll go to a quick short break so you don't go into the hard news right after that happy story. So we'll just go to scenes in Sussex for 2 minutes.
All right.
Okay, and we are back. So I have another story here from the Daily Mail that we were going to briefly talk about.
Right.
Quite a just not very nice story. Quite horrifying, really. Happened in this country. Murdered by a gambler is the headline. And the sub-headline is Pensioner died after debt-ridden addict beat and gagged her and a counsellor's husband in a bid to steal £30,000.
Wow. That is horrific.
The killer was 34 years old, and he was caught, luckily. How old were the other two? They're both pensioners. They're both probably 70s, which is a real shame.
Like the murdered couple.
Yeah, they're both in their 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
86-year-old.
Oh.
86.
Yeah, that's very sad. I have to say that it is... yes, I'll say it. I've been relatively fearless, and that's a misnomer, because believe me, when you're in danger, you're always afraid. Anybody who says they're not is an absolute bloody liar. But I've been relatively fearless in my life, having reported and worked in all sorts of strange places, which were war zones and where crime was rife and so on. But the older you get, the more you realize that your daring do, in which you would fight off any terrorist activity or any military assaults or anything, is as you get older, those days go. You don't have the ability. I mean, I carry a walking stick, and in the old days, I could have battered somebody's head in. I couldn't now. I'm well aware of that. It's there to give me
And
some
so
sort
are
of
the
stability,
criminals.
and the criminals are as well. So as you grow older, you become more vulnerable.
Well, younger as well. I got mugged as a child, and the person who mugged me knew he could get away with it because I was a child. He was, I don't think he was ever caught, but they do know the string of crimes he had committed. He had mugged about 10 other people, and they were all either very young children on their own or very old people. He mugged one lady in a mobility scooter,
Good grief.
and he was a drug addict as well, clearly.
Yeah.
And he had been
Mind you, those mobility scooters, because I'm looking at one at the moment, and you could run somebody down with them. Beep, 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 beep.
I don't think you could.
Oh, yes.
No.
I'm going to be like Toad of Toad Hall. have you ever read Wind in the Willows?
I have.
Right.
I've been read
Bits
yes.
of it here and there.
No, I haven't read it, but I've been read the whole book to me.
Right. So you know the chapter when Toad first gets this first car and is totally bemused by it and loves it and can't leave it alone. So off he goes, boop, 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 and runs everybody down in its path. He ends up in prison, by the way. Yeah, I've got to tell you. There is a wonderful scene where Toad is in prison, and the prisoner's daughter it takes pity on him. And on the Monday morning, she brings in his dinner. And in the old days, a traditional Monday dinner was the cold roast beef from the day before, from Sunday.
Toad in the hole.
Well, no, not Toad in the hole,
right. What was it called? Bubble and Squeak?
Bubble and Squeak,
yes.
That's it, made out of the cabbage. And there is this lovely phrase, I'm paraphrasing actually, I can't get the exact phrase, but it says, the smell of cabbage hung in the air, as the smell of cabbage is wont to do. And it paints this lovely picture. Every time I think of it, I can smell the Bubble and Squeak and the cabbage that made it. Yeah. Anyway, why did I start talking about that?
I don't know. I started talking about I was mugged as a child, and then you went into Bubble and Squeak.
I know. I'm talking about Total. You said actually that you couldn't run down with a mobility scooter. I said, leave it to me. Wait until I get mine. I'll run a few people down. I'm just like Toad of Total.
You can get mobility scooters that have number plates.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Then we can really run them down.
Lewis isn't really a mobility scooter friendly place, if I'm honest.
Lewis. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, the person that I find absolutely amusing is the former mayor, Jim Daly. And Jim has his mobility scooter, and it's quite a powerful little thing. Off he scoots all over the place. And to see Jim herring down the road is quite amusing, quite funny. And he's got a little sort of thing for a flag on a pennant on it. So he seems to find it a friendly place. But you may well be right. I don't know. I'll probably find out in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
If you've got a pause there, can I tell you something which has just come up on the small screen, as they say? And that is that next year, that in August 2023, the Flying Scotsman is coming to the Bluebell Railway. And that is got to be a wonderful thing. The Flying Scotsman is a marvellous piece of engineering. And for many, many years, long before you were a sparkle even in your father's eye, it's a wonderful, romantic train that caught the imagination of the entire country. And it's one of the trains that has been lovingly restored. So it's coming to the Bluebell Railway next year. And that's something which we must put in our diary. We must cover that because they take it around. In fact, they take it around the world. And it always gathers huge crowds because it is such a marvelous piece of engineering. But also, if you're in love with railways, which I am, it evokes all sorts of delightful memories because it is such a beautiful piece of machinery. Right. Okay. Back to you.
I was just trying to find the first episode of Mirador and when it was, because we must have the anniversary coming up soon.
Right. Well, we'll work on the anniversary. Yeah. We will.
I need to find out when it is first.
Yes, but that's the first thing we'll find exactly what it is. Yes, I doubt if we can actually be exact because it started as sort of an evolution. But
the anniversary of the first show of Mirador.
Yeah, but one of the things that is terribly important for us to remember is, in many ways, Mirador came out of K-Burn radio. And K-Burn radio was the first. It was only a restricted licensing. It lasted for about 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned
that started in 1997, and it is actually the forefather of Rocket Radio, which broadcast at bonfire time. And actually, Rocket Radio, believe it or not, has found it more and more difficult to broadcast for a short period of time. It gets more and more costly. Of course, the government makes sure of that. They want their pound of flesh for the license. I saw a piece the other day, and we welcome them. That Rocket Radio will be televising the bonfire celebrations, and so will we. So going from zero television coverage just a few years ago, they've now got two of us doing live streaming. So you have your choice. You can either go with Rocket Radio or you can go with us. And we are Mirador Television. So very interesting that there is so much interest shown by the television companies. Is in bonfire. What we do have that perhaps the other lot do not have is we have a long reach. We have people around the world who watch us anyway. It just our day-to-day output. And so that will increase in bonfire.
So you mentioned it's an evolution. What was before Mirador?
Before Mirador
was radio?
Yes, we started radio in 1997, and that morphed into Rocket Radio. We started television. I can't really remember, but some form of television. Because we didn't have this form of internet and we didn't have this sort of piece of software. Well, I think somewhere around 12. One of the funny things is I was looking at one of our old programs the other day because we used to do it also from the Runaway Cafe on Lewis Station. And I was watching and there I am saying, right, we've been on the air for 15 minutes and the 6 o'clock train has just come in and it's on time. So we go back quite a way. Not as sophisticated as perhaps we are now, but still the forerunner goes tittle-pipping a long way back.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's nice. We'll go to a breather again, I guess. We'll go to your energy thing. Your energy clip.
By tweaking the tail of the energy companies.
Yes.
Right.
Well done, the energy companies. They're full of bright ideas to help their customers. Now they've made power so expensive that for an average house such as this, you can't afford to heat it. So you don't need appliances such as this. But that means you also don't need a fridge, because you can keep your groceries cool and fresh without it. The house is cold enough. Well done, chaps.
There we go. And that was, what was that? That was your...
That was my little tweak of the energy company's tales, pointing out that if you don't use any energy, the thing is cold enough so that you can use the house as a fridge and keep all your groceries fresh. Yeah, if you want to do that and shiver. Right, what have you got here? Isn't that interesting? Qatar shuts down Tatul's LGBT rights protest. And strangely enough, one of the ladies that I've been training this last 24 hours is from Qatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's charming, absolutely charming. One from Saudi was less charming, which is okay.
Yeah, so an LGBT rights protest was shut down in Qatar. Oh, big news, guys. This is shocking. Just in, breaking news.
Yeah.
Don't know who would be shocked by that. But we have here price increases. Price increases of all different types of food. Pasta, they have the headline here in the Daily Mail: pasta prices boil over, which is quite funny. It's up to 60% amid surge of cost of food, basics like cooking oil, bread, and tea. I've noticed this myself. I've been keeping track of all the prices, but here they have vegetable oil is up 65% on average. Pasta is up 59.9%. Tea 48, crisps 39, bread 37, biscuits 34. Lots of stuff has gone up in price.
Yeah.
Milk 29%.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with price increases because the price of the sort of food that I eat has remained relatively stable. Oysters, champagne, lobster, prawns. It hasn't gone up anywhere near as much as all this other rubbish that people eat. If you just stuck to my diet, if you just had a nice lobster every night and every lunchtime, you'd soon be not only healthy, but you'd find that your food bill would come down.
Lobster thermidor?
Oh, lobster thermidor. Cooking a lobster, that's sacrilege. You've got to stick it in the pot.
Oh, do stop it.
Actually, I have to say, oh dear, have we disappeared? No.
No.
I have to say that my late wife and I, when we first experimented with our first lobster and put it in the pot, and we were told, the lobster should be live when you put it in and boil it to death, poor thing. And we did, and the squeal of the air coming out of the little hole at the back of it was so bad, we could never, ever do it again because it sounded as if you actually, harming the thing. Apparently, the shell is very protective of it from heat and so on. But nonetheless, I need somebody else. I need somebody else to kill the damn thing.
Yeah, it is actually the air that escapes from the.
That little voice, by the way, from the back is Liza Page, who's stalking and can't wait to get into my seat this morning, and she's going to have it in 2 minutes' time.
Yes, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in London.
No, I'm not going to London anymore.
I was surprised.
I hate it. And anyway, I said to Rishi Sunak, there is not room enough for both of us in London. And he said, right, you leave. And I had to.
I wouldn't have left.
I was just as surprised as you are to find Keith here this morning.
We pop up and down all over the place. But we have lots to do at Mirador. We are busy people. Is somewhere, and I couldn't lay my hands on it now. But so I'll sing it to you anyway. What? You're not going to let me sing? We had lots of fun when I was working abroad, and particularly in Kosovo, because generally speaking, if you want to find jobs worth, people who are useless at whatever they're supposed to be doing, it's either United Nations personnel or European Union personnel. I mean, because they're chosen in ratios and patronage and so on and so forth, none of them can do the job. So we used to sing this whenever we saw them coming into sight. We're busy doing nothing, working the whole day through, trying to find lots of things not to do. We're busy going nowhere, isn't it just a crime? We'd like to be unhappy, but we never do have the time. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay. I liked your singing, Keith.
Opera, here I come.
So shall we? We'll go to a longer clip that I have here set up already, and I guess we can swap seats. We'll swap with Liza.
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. I will see you tomorrow morning. What's tomorrow? Thursday.
Thursdays.
Yes. I'll see you tomorrow.
Unless you can get a hold of Stuart, you'll be by yourself.
I'll be by myself. Well, I think Stuart's away for a week, is he not? Somebody told me that.
I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know.
Anyway, I will be here, holding the fort, and looking sturdy and so on when I'm really sort of broken down. And oh yes, go on.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Play your program. Toodle pip.
Yes. Bye. Well, we'll be back.
That's fresh snow up there. It's clean, dusty snow.
It's really hard to be filming in the car here because the road is rough, patched up all over the place, and hard to keep the camera steady. Now that is a rugged mountain range.
The nice thing about being behind big trucks is that that's how you get to back in big trucks. That's
so many motorhomes, fifth wheels, trailers, campers, more than in other years for a long time. Even now, like I said, all around. Many of them are rental. Actually, this time we've seen a motorhome, a trailer, and a camper truck, but there's so many of them out on the road.
Okay, and welcome back for another day.
Yeah.
We you were here today to help me because I was all by myself, and then I wasn't. Keith was here.
Oh,
But,
it's so nice to see him back.
It is. I'm glad it's been rough. We're using his laptop, as you can tell this morning,
Yes.
so it's better quality, better picture, quicker, not as slow as my one.
Uh-huh.
His computer is just newer and better.
I see.
So we shouldn't have the same issues as we usually do.
No, that'll be lovely. I always enjoy coming here. It's so nice to work with you and discuss the things that we have the same mindset.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't come here if we didn't. I really couldn't. It would be just too hard work. It's hard enough talking to people in the street and trying to get knowledge out to them. So I think we're doing good work here, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're
I think
trying our best to educate people as to what is going on, because, you know, they've been so dumbed down by the BBC that most poor people don't have a clue as to what is going on.
Yeah.
I mean, this lockdown's been such a shock to the system of most people, and they will run like zombies. It's very difficult to get any conversation out of anyone, I find.
It really is, especially people my age.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like I
like
can't
they're
talk to
either
anyone.
in shock or they're hypnotized or something. It's very
Hypnotized is
weird.
how I would describe it. Most people my age don't want to have a real conversation because the questions that get asked are problematic. So to even ask those questions is some sort of offense. And you can't have a normal discussion because people get offended too quickly. You can't have a real discussion about real issues in the world that are going on.
No.
God, I've never even spoken to someone my age about these grooming gangs that are going on. Because as soon as you mention it, oh, well, we can't talk about that, because they're of a specific ethnicity, it could cause race issues. So we can't talk about it.
So,
And that's what the Met's saying as well. We
Mm.
won't investigate these grooming gangs and these crimes because we don't want to start race issues.
yes, well, that's always a very good excuse, isn't it, for doing nothing?
Yeah,
Yes,
sure is.
very good
And
excuse.
it's
And it's getting more and more so that people say there will be anarchy. I think it's already here, isn't it?
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. You'll know when there's anarchy.
Yeah. Well, it's the last thing in the world that I want to see. Last thing in the world, because that's exactly what they want.
So
You see, because then as soon as there's anarchy and becomes uncontrollable, then they can come in and say, what you need is one world government. Your governments are terrible, everything's awful, we'll sort it out with one world military and one world government, no money. And what they're trying to bring in, which is total control.
yeah, I mean,
They're
speaking
trying
of
very,
that,
very hard still and coming on with full force. I mean, this new leader that we have, I think
Rashid Sunak,
The
as Joe Biden
Rashid.
said.
I'm not even bothering to learn
Rishi
his name.
Sunak. Yeah.
I don't take the name of evil people. I don't put it into my brain, my computer, very rarely, because it does me no good. But I am petrified of him.
I'm not.
Oh, I am. He will do his very, very best to take us back into the European Union. And
I have his full cabinet here. Whilst he was pro-Brexit, he's filled up his cabinet with a lot of anti-Brexit people.
Of course, because he would try to push us back into the union. I mean, that's what he's there for. That's what they've put him there for.
Rishi Sunak. Yes.
Yes. I mean, with the strong Chinese connections, member of the WEF, all of them, he's here to ruin the country. And you know something? All these young fellows that are coming over here in the dinghies with the very expensive trainers on.
Yeah. They can always afford nice luxuries, can't they?
Yeah. I find that and none of them look skint, do they, when they jump off that? They're not exactly in rags. And
they always say, "Oh, it's the women and children coming over."
Yeah,
No,
I don't see
it's always the fighting age men.
absolutely. And that's what I think they're bringing them into this country for, to start up, to accommodate this world army that they're trying to bring in.
I'm still not.
I'm
convinced
not
about the
certain,
world
but listen, we did train ISIS over here and nobody knew what we were doing.
We did do that.
Yes.
Yeah, America created ISIS. Most people don't know, but
Yes, and the British are terribly good at training military.
speaking of, you mentioned it 2 weeks ago, but we now have British fighter pilots going over and training the Chinese.
Yes, for 250,000 quid.
Yeah.
A year.
But that's a lot of money.
It's a lot, and I commented on that. I said, "Fine, go take the money. Live in China, though. Don't come back here."
What I want to know is, who are these people? Not just that, but are they Chinese? Are they expats? Have they come to this country, successfully infiltrated our military, and then gone back, or are they British citizens? If they are British citizens, that's more scary, I think.
Yeah,
It's more concerning.
that I don't know. I just read more or less the headline, which was horrific enough. But we have these Chinese police over here now. They're pretty much in all over Europe, and they're in America full force, looking for Chinese people who have done wrong, and they want to encourage them back to come to China to face the music. And if they don't, then their families will be contacted, and we know what will happen there. Now, if these people are criminals that they've come over here to look for, we have something called Interpol to do that.
Yeah.
But Interpol has now joined up with China.
I don't know if you saw, but the Chinese embassy were beating British citizens who were protesting outside. Did you see that a couple of weeks ago?
No, I didn't. Inform me. Tell me.
Basically just did. the Chinese embassy security were beating protesters who were protesting outside of the embassy in London.
They were beating them?
Yes.
That was the British are standing for this?
Well,
Chinese coming over here and beating us up?
They are, yeah. I mean,
it gets more petrifying every day. It gets more petrifying.
Their government are just evil people. Yeah. It's not obviously not the citizens, it's the government.
Yes, and so is our leader. We are under terrible wave cloud, but people are waking up. They're slow to wake up, but they are waking up.
Let me just reiterate this point. Rishi Sunak, the reason he's so rich is because of his wife.
Yes.
His wife has all the wealth. Where did his wife get all the wealth from? Her father. Now, the reason Rishi Sunak's father-in-law is so rich is because he owns some of the patents for the Chinese social credit system.
Yes.
Now, that's concerning. Now, what's also concerning is the new Chancellor of Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt.
Oh, he's well in the China here.
His wife is Chinese, and she has a lot of dealings with the Chinese government.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, yes, yeah.
So,
I mean, Sunak came over here. He had an American green card, which makes him almost an American citizen. You come and go as you like. And through that, his wife didn't have to pay any taxes when they were over here. Yeah, it's very interesting, but...
So the two most powerful people in charge, besides the king, are very intertwined with China.
Very, very intertwined, yes.
Family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any more news on the van der Leyen woman? I mean,
no, I don't
are they going to prosecute her? Things were looking hopeful there, but it seems to have all died down.
And I am looking here at Rishi Sunak's new cabinet, and there's not a single person in here
who isn't WEF.
No, there isn't. But what's his name? What's his name? Michael Gove is back in.
Oh yes, yeah. Useless one.
There's no one of any substance here. Penny Mordaunt is in the cabinet as well, and so is Zoella Braverman. She's the only, not even half decent. She's said one or two things that are good, but
so Zoella's come back. She's joined because she
got fired by Liz Truss,
didn't she?
Yeah. So
that's a very highly depressing list, but we knew a long time ago that this would happen. It's all been very carefully planned.
Yeah, I mean we have another story in the back pages of the Daily Mail. We went over this briefly earlier, but they have the rise in prices of how much things have gone up in percent. So the number one thing that's gone up is vegetable oil at 65%, pasta at 60%, tea 46%.
Pasta 60%, yeah, that would do, wouldn't it? Yeah. Because when food is short, people immediately stock up on pasta.
Because it's long life. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: the number one thing that's gone up in price is vegetable oil. Now, I mentioned this to you before, but I'm going to say it again because it's funny. Just Stop Oil protesters glued themselves to the road to block trucks coming out of an oil factory, as they do.
Yeah.
And they were saying, Just Stop Oil, we need justice for the climate, we need to stop this factory producing oil. And then Sky News were interviewing them, and then Sky News turned to one of the truckers and interviewed them. And the trucker said the best line that's ever been said on television. He said, in just a very normal way, I don't know why they're protesting. This is a cooking oil factory.
A bit of basic common sense there.
Oh, God.
Oh, that is rare. That is very, very rare.
That was so fun. Don't know why they're protesting. This is cooking oil.
I've traveled all over the world, and I've lived in quite a few different countries. And I love Britain. I think it so much still going for it. And I can't bear to see it destroyed and in the hands of these wicked, evil people, the way it is and has been for a long time. It's really destroying me, Max, to see it.
It's a real shame, yeah.
And if, the youngsters of your age had some guidelines as to, no, sorry, mate, you don't come to Britain and do that. But they don't. You see, they don't have that loyalty that we had years ago, which was drummed into us and which served us very, very well, even though there was a lot wrong with it. But now it's people, back to what we were saying, people walking around in a daze. They have no anchor.
People have just been brainwashed, and the number one
by the BBC, because that's all they've had for a long time.
Not just the BBC. I think the main thing that's brainwashing people, especially people my age, is TikTok.
Well, yeah, that's owned by China, isn't it?
It is
designed
China,
to do
yes.
exactly what it did.
People at my age being brainwashed because it's owned by China.
And it's keeping
Surprisingly,
the young babyish and soppy.
It is. And this is what's bringing on this new phase of all this gender ideology, which is in that paper, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Yes, absolutely.
If you could
give
me that paper for a second.
Do you want the whole lot?
Yeah, just pass it.
You'll find it more
this.
quickly than I will, I'm sure.
So there's a story in here that's very interesting. There we go.
Here we go.
We won't read the article word for word, but we'll go over a brief.
For most trans children, it's just a phase, said the NHS.
And just to repeat that once again.
For most trans children, it's just a phase, said the NHS. This is after they've castrated them.
Yep.
Young children.
I mean, I was talking to you about this, and I said, just yesterday.
Inadvertently causing harm.
Inadvertently causing harm. So I was talking to you about this yesterday. The worst, the phases of the early 2000s, the emo, the goths, those sorts of things, and they would cut themselves, they would cut their wrists.
Yes.
That was the phase that was going on. And cutting their wrists, whilst it leaves a scar, that would be the worst thing that happened to them. A couple years, clears up, it's gone. Now, what happens is the scars is genital mutilation.
Yes, yeah. Well, they've been doing that to little girls, haven't they? A hell of a long time, for centuries.
Not the NHS.
But still, listen, that would not surprise me if the NHS started to do that. Because this, but for most trans children, it's just
hang on a minute,
a phase.
they've been doing this for years.
Yes.
They've been doing this since 2016. They first started doing transitions for children. The Conservative Party, the one good thing they did in their 12 years in office, they banned children from transitioning, which was very good. I completely agree with that. A child can't make a decision. A child can't even drink, get a tattoo. Why should they be allowed to chop their? Why should they be able to transition? That's the first of all irreversible. Secondly, not even right now, and I'm not the average teenager. I'm not the average 18-year-old.
Far from it.
I don't think I could make an entirely huge life-changing decision right now. And it's insane that at one point we were allowing 13-year-olds to do it.
It's horrific. Absolutely horrific.
And it was on it was on the NHS, which is taxpayer as well. So
yes,
you were
but
paying for it.
Since they closed down the Tavistock,
Yeah.
The government now, they're trying to get out of it, the National Health, by saying it's just a phase. Before they said no, they from birth they know what they are.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, but now they're trying to cover their tracks.
I saw a Pink News
That's
article.
what that's about.
I saw a Pink News article saying that children know from in the womb if they're trans or not.
Oh, yes.
That was a Pink News article, which is the biggest gay news website in the world, and that's based in Brighton. Obviously.
Yes, of course, yes.
Based in Brighton. Brighton is embarrassing, honestly. I hear so many people, even in the US, talk about Brighton. I hear lots of people in this country talk about Brighton. Just say, "Oh, that's just it's terrible."
It used to be very nice there.
You were born there.
Yes, I was born.
Imagine being born there today.
Yeah, horrific. Yeah, well, everything's.
I mean, I'm in Brighton usually about 3 or 4 times a week.
It's not a pleasurable experience for
especially
you,
not in the morning, because I usually get there between 6:30 and 7:30 is the time I'm there in the morning. And because I'm one of the few people about getting the bus, getting to work, traveling, I'm young, I look vulnerable, I'm always accosted by the crackheads.
Yes.
Always. Could you spare some change? No, I can't.
Yeah.
If they ask me for food, sure, whatever. I still, they freak me out because I've been mugged before as a child by a homeless person, or not a homeless person, but drug addict.
Well, that must have been a very nasty experience for you.
Yeah, that was when was it? It was the 21st of December. It was just 4 days before Christmas. We were getting the last of the Christmas shopping done. We were doing the late night shopping. And I had all my money on me to get everyone presents because for whatever reason we left it late that year. And then I was mugged.
Yes.
That same guy mugged a whole bunch of other people. He mugged mostly very young and very old people. He even mugged one elderly woman in a mobility scooter.
Oh my God, it's macabre.
And this was in Horsham. I thought Horsham was a nice place. It is a nice place.
Yeah.
But
it can happen anywhere.
It can happen anywhere. Yeah, it can happen here in Lewis.
Yeah. It's not so good.
Have you ever been? I know you've been mugged once. Has it ever happened to you more than once?
I was mugged very, very badly in Indonesia. As a matter of fact. Indonesia, yes. I was working the Hotel Indonesia there for the second time, and was just getting ready actually to go down and do my show, and there was a knock at the door, and he was done up in white sort of uniform, and he said he'd come to check the air conditioning, and he got in, but the French windows were open. The air conditioning wasn't on. Now, thank God the doors were open. And he came out and pulled out, he slammed the door and he put out, I think it's called a piranha. They keep it in the shirt, and halfway down their trousers.
Is it?
I think it's called a piranha, the knife.
Oh, like a machete, sort of.
It's not as big as a machete. It's
a large knife. Yeah.
I pulled out this knife, and he was very young. He wasn't too professional, so I thought if he's young, he's dangerous, much more dangerous. Because I said, whoa. I just, wait a minute. I said, I got a big bunch of money for you, and I'd just been paid. They'd heard about that, because I was getting ready to leave in a couple of days, and I had the money in cash. I gave him the money, and he wasn't content with that. He got a hold of my head and wanted to chop my head. I managed to escape and rush out onto the balcony, and I knew then, he'd got the money and he's not going to leave, because he was nervous. He didn't know what to do. And I thought, now I have to scream. Now, if I'd screamed before, he would chop me up with a knife to try and shut me up. But it was out onto the balcony. I screamed, and being a singer, I was heard, I'm sure. And with that, he slammed the door behind me and ran out. Slammed the French door, the French window, and he ran out with my money.
How much money did he take?
It was about $2,000, I think.
$2,000.
Yeah.
In what year? In what year?
He worked at, well,
That would have been.
I was very young. It was 40 years ago, wasn't it? Now I think.
Were you in your
Yes,
30s?
Yes, yeah.
God,
So, but it was.
that would have been a lot of money back then as well.
Yeah, but
Adjusted for inflation today, that'd probably be tens, couple, well over towards.
And
like
then the
15
laws
grand.
were very, very harsh there. They said if they find him, I think they said they'd cut his hand off. I mean, it was, very dreadful.
Yeah.
And then a fellow from the hotel came up, and we went through some photographs, and I said, that's him. He said, yeah. He said he was in a fight, and he had the blade. He carried the blade.
The blade.
The blade, yes. Anyway, I was very cool, calm, and collected, and then I fell apart. And quite frankly, it took me a year to get over that experience. I was with Lou, and eventually he was getting on his nerves, because every time he went out, he would come back and I wouldn't let him in until he described what color shirt he was wearing, what jacket, the clothes. Come on, come on. No, you just tell me that, because I didn't see you go out. And it was a nervous breakdown, obviously, that I was having. It took a long time. Anyway, I made it, and I am such a lucky woman. Oh God, I have protectors wherever I go. I am blessed, because, supposing he had cut me with a blade or something, disfigured me, would never have worked again, and well, it would have killed me too, so think how good it is. And then, the fella said, with that kind of money, that will get him to Hong Kong, and will get him a totally different life. So I thought, well, at least the money's gone somewhere. And that I've found through life is the only way of looking at something.
What are the chances? What are the chances that guy's still alive?
I don't know. I don't even think about it. I don't think he was young. He was quite good looking, but he had this angry, fierce look about him. He had the dark glasses on and these thick lips, and you could tell he was carrying a lot of anger. I thought, no, that makes him, a thief, a professional thief, knows exactly what they're doing. And they're in, they're out, no violence, nothing. They are totally professional. This guy, little guy, was an amateur, and they're very dangerous. Because he would have said, right, I got the money, I'm out. But he hung around, this one, you see. Look, it happened to a singer called Connie Francis. I think she was in Miami or something. I don't know for sure. But a fellow broke into her hotel room, and he kept her tied up for a couple of hours, I think, and Connie, God bless her, was really never the same after that experience.
Was she just tied up?
I don't know, if she was violated or something like that. It's not something you're going to give to the general public because they assume all other sorts of things. But no, I feel very, very sorry for the woman because she must have been petrified. You see, it's the fear of what they're going to do. But Connie was never the same after that experience. She did some work in the business, but her career suffered from that. So these things, they happen in life, and especially, but when I was with Lou, nothing nasty like that happened. You see, Lou was in Las Vegas at the time, and I was offered this gig, and he said, "Do you want to go?" So I said, "Yes, I do. I want to go." So went there by myself. If he'd been with me, that would never, ever have happened. And great big tall guy, 6'4", you know. You know, a little guy with a knife's not going to tackle him, I promise you. And so that, and I think probably I resented him for, you know, letting me get into that situation, but it wasn't his fault. He couldn't have stopped me going, you know. Yes, he could. He could have said, "No, it's too dangerous for you to go over there on your own. I won't allow it." And I would have felt a little feminine and very nice. But he didn't. This was a long, long time ago. I don't want to waste the viewers' time listening to this. This is part of life. And somebody...
Almost getting beheaded? I don't think that's a part of life.
Well, you know, bad situations. Especially when you travel the world, your chances of running into a difficult situation are more so than if you are a lady who stays at home, takes care of her children, and makes a home for her children and her husband. In a way, it's more of a sheltered life. I didn't choose that life, so you take what life throws at you, good and the bad experiences of it. But it was bloody scary.
Did you ever go back to that country after that?
No. No, I hightailed it out of there.
Never went back.
Yeah. But I when I got down to Australia, where I was going anyway after the gig, Lou met me down there, and I got a hell of a lot of publicity on the strength of that, which publicity is, you know, very good. This is what show business is about, and we were discussing that. Oh, look, I look so old. Oh, that's you waking me up early in the morning. Oh, you are awful. Anyway, trials and tribulations. But I'm so involved now with this country and the world situation, because I see it so vividly, the horror of what can happen. And people say, well, it's going to, and that's it. And they walk off. They don't want to know. We can stop this. We can always stop something, but it has to be done en masse. It has to. I'm sorry, but we have to wake up to the evilness of our governments and the people that are running this country and trying to run the entire world. The Klaus Schwabs, the Gates, and all these horrendously wealthy people who think that they can do absolutely anything. It's appalling. They are trying to dehumanize us because they are not human themselves. I'm not very good this morning. I'm sorry,
No,
Max. I'm
it's
really
fine.
not very good at
No,
all.
it's fine. You're doing very well. Shall
Because
we go to a breather?
I'm stating the obvious, but I'm not giving solutions. And there are solutions out there. You know,
Well-
all we have to do is say no. But we have to do it en masse. No violence, just no. We are not standing
And
for this. That's all we have to do.
That's going to, unfortunately, take a long time to convince as many people as we can to say no. But can we get that done before they can get their Agenda 2030 done?
I don't know, but we absolutely have to keep fighting, because a good prize fighter, he doesn't stay down on the ground, he gets up. He gets up and he keeps going. Now we're right on the ground, and we've got to get up and raise that energy and that spirit to do something about this. This is all it takes. We have to be the champion fighters that we were born to be. No violence. That will get you nowhere. You've got to use the psychology on them that they are using on us. Oh, I'm ranting and raving. I'm sorry, dear
It's
heart.
fine. Should we go to a breather? Because I need to sort some stuff out for behind the
Yes,
scenes.
of course.
So we'll go to Like Lewis just for 5 minutes, whilst I get some things sorted out. All right, here we go. Okay, and we are back.
Hi.
So we have a second. We have some more stories from behind the headlines, and we have one here from the Daily Mail. We did briefly go over it yesterday, but we think it's a very important story, and we need to go over it again. I mean, this is just quite. This is just he paid to do this himself.
Yes, okay, here we go. Headline: That's handy. Dad gets pay chip implant under skin. There are a few things more frustrating than realizing you've left your wallet home after reaching the supermarket checkout. But father of two, Arnie Zoki, has this situation well in hand. No pun intended. He has had a tiny payment chip fitted under his skin. Instead of fumbling around for cards or cash at the till, Mr. Soki only needs to place his hand on the back of the contact lens reader.
So I'll show you. So this is the guy. So he has had his credit card chip implanted into his hand.
Yes, but this is old news, isn't it? I mean, they were doing this in Brighton 5 years ago. Young mothers and paying to have it done.
This guy paid himself.
Yes.
And the way they describe the beginning of the article, they're clearly trying to sell it. They're clearly trying to sell this more. He's from London, apparently. It's just ridiculous.
But now they're saying, this is really nothing.
Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. You're not going to have chips in you.
Yes. Oh, not in our lifetime. That was what I used to get when I told people about this. Not in our lifetime. I said, in our lifetime, they are already doing it. And this is the object of the game. So there will be no more vaccinations. It will be the chip in the hand, because this is what they want. They want this chip so that it picks us up from these 5G machines. And that then they have the brain. A lot of people say we're already microchipped, and that I wouldn't be surprised about at all.
A lot of people say that, and I will say that is incorrect. That is not.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Because now they are so small, you can't see them without a magnifying glass.
I just don't believe that we have them inside. I mean, me and you certainly don't.
Well, I wouldn't be a bit surprised, darling. I wouldn't, with what they're capable of today.
I would be very surprised. That would be one of the only things at the moment that would still surprise me.
Well, I hope I hope you're right. I really do. Oh my God. All the time when I'm sprouting this stuff, I'm saying, please let me be wrong. Please let me be wrong. But I'm proven right. All the time. And these 5G machines, they make you ill, they do whatever. I mean, these little kids sleeping with these telephones under their pillows right near the head. The brain, the membrane of the brain is very, very delicate on these children. So there's so much brain cancer going on now with the young. A very dear friend of mine lost a grandchild a couple of years ago with it. It's, unless we do something about this, the human race, I tell you something, is finished. It really is. Humanity as it is, no. No good. No, and they were, I think there's some religion, I'm not quite sure what it is, but Keith was talking to me about it. And a little girl had a little puppy, something like that. And it was on the ground, and a very large animal stepped back and killed the puppy outright. There was no tears, no nothing. She said it was his time to go.
Don't like
Now,
that.
I'm sorry. I have to have life with its highs, its lows, its loves, its passions, and even the pain. I can't wind up like that.
That could be any religion, really. They all say that same thing. Oh, it was his time. It was his time to go. And they're rarely right about that.
Yeah, I mean that gives people a hell of a leeway, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we all said that when my great grandfather passed away. Well, it was his time to go. I mean, to a certain extent, it's correct. I mean, he was 92. He was.
Yeah, but
he had
with the lifespan going on, where 150 will not be abnormal. They had it donkeys years ago. You don't know. Well, with the way we're going, it won't. And people, but years ago, in my age, that woman is 80 years again, and I would look at like she was, in a zoo or something.
No, you're that age. Sorry.
And
was 80 really really old?
Oh, it was. It was like 110 today. Yes, it
Wow.
really was. But now, I mean, if someone is 100, wow, that's nice. I mean, down there on that estate where I live, there's several people there that are 100 years of age,
Yeah,
and
my
they're
mum
managing
cares.
very well.
My mum cares for a few people who are in their hundreds,
Well,
and some of them are very
there you go.
active.
Yes.
There's this one lady that my mum cares for. She's 101, and she can do everything. She always impresses the new members of staff because she'll go, look what I can still do at 101, and she puts her hands up in the air and she can still bend over and touch her toes at 101.
Yes.
And keep her balance.
Yeah.
And she's incredibly healthy.
Yes. Well, leave us alone. I mean,
I can't even touch my toes.
Oh, you don't try enough. But and you can have a very good conversation with them too. I mean, I went down to a town hall some years back, and there was a gentleman there of 100, all suited up, immaculate looking, and he came over and asked me for a dance. We stood and had a dance. He said, "What is your name?" I said, "My name is Sybil." He said, "I went to school with Dame Sybil Thorndike." And we had this conversation, What a privilege. So, regarding age, people that say, listen, it's nothing more than a state of mind.
I've only ever met one person that's 100 years old.
Oh, I don't think I want to hang around in this world, and I'm like 100, quite frankly, so don't worry.
I
won't be a useless eater.
I was talking to Stuart because he was bragging that he could make it to 100. I was like, so you want to live to 100? He goes, oh, not really. I'm like, well, you can. He's like, yeah, I can, but I don't know if I want to. I wouldn't want to live to 100. God.
Well, it gets very lonely because you don't have any sort of lifelong friends. They all pass on, and so you don't have too many people to talk to.
Yeah,
I'm experiencing that myself.
my great granddad, he lived in an over 60s retirement place instead of going to a nursing home. So he could always pull the lever, and there was always staff on hand just in case.
Yes.
But he had his own apartment there, and he was there from about 70. So he lived there for almost. He lived there over. I don't know. He must have lived there 25 years.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember when he moved in. But he did make a lot of friends with the people in the home when he first moved in. But after about 10 years, he just stopped going to the social events. He just stopped. He went, I'm not going anymore. All my friends that I make just die. They all die before me. And it was really sad because all he had left was family. And at least he had family.
Mm-hmm.
He had kids, lots of grandkids, great grandkids.
Mm. Yes.
So he had family, which was nice for him. But
Well,
yeah,
that's why he lasted then. There's the
Yeah.
ones that don't have that. I mean, a lot of them die of loneliness, I think. So.
Yeah.
And it's not so, well, we go and see her or well, so and so and so. It's not quite the same.
and it's not just having a family; it's having a good family. Because my mum cares for a lot of people who have lots of family, but would never come and visit them.
Mm.
I mean, when she worked in the nursing home, she saw that a lot. That there would be like 90-year-old people, and their kids would never come and visit them.
Well, it can't be bothered, can it? Can't be bothered.
So you need it's not just having a family and lots of children; it's raising them right. That you need to, and that's what. Oh, luckily, that's what I was. I come from a very good family. We were all raised right. We've never had any family issues. Well, we have, but
No, you're beautifully raised.
We're- yeah,
Young
that's what I was
man,
trying to say.
Beautifully raised.
We're
Your
raised
mother's
well.
done an incredibly good job.
Yeah.
And she did it alone. I mean, whew.
she raised 3 kids on her own, and
I
somehow they all
I
turned
think
out.
she's a very brave woman, quite frankly.
Yeah, she
very
raised
brave.
3 children on her own, and only one of them turned out all right. No, my sister's very successful. She's a head pastry chef, and Fred's doing law in college now.
I know. Yeah.
And
yes. Your mum
yeah.
must be very, very proud of all of you.
Yeah, my sister at one point was the world's youngest head pastry chef.
You were
Incredibly.
telling me that's wonderful.
Like to be the world's anything is pretty
Oh.
impressive.
Absolutely.
Because there were certain industry standards. You can't have anyone under 22 to be a head chef. It's just not allowed. Because you need someone with lots of experience. But a place in Jersey, one of the really nice hotels over in Jersey, said, "No, we want you as our head pastry chef."
Yes.
And she was the youngest head pastry chef.
And she's getting married soon too, isn't
Yeah,
she?
she's
Yes,
engaged.
it's very exciting.
Her fiance is a head chef, so they work together, which
Yes.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
your mother has raised very self-reliant children. She's done an incredibly good job.
Well, my sister's moved out. She lives in Cornwall, but I have we adopted a kid. I have a foster brother. He's a year younger than me. So my mum has to put up with 3 teenage boys, 18, 17, and 16, all by herself. So
Is she writing a book by any chance? It sounds like a bestseller to me.
no, but we all 3 of us have jobs. We're all paying rent, so we're all helping out. So it's going all right.
Marvelous. Fantastic.
Yeah. My foster brother's a welder,
Yes.
and Fred's just got a part-time job as kitchen staff in a pub in the local village.
Is he enjoying it?
Yeah, well, as much as you can enjoy being a pot washer.
Well,
But it's a
job's
first job.
job,
A job's a
isn't
job.
it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Some jobs are more fun, like this. I enjoy doing this. It's very fun. I get to meet a lot of interesting people.
Yeah, but you're doing something a little bit valuable here. You know, I tell you something. It's you're getting certain messages out to people that the BBC would never allow you to do.
Mm.
I mean,
Well-
these little radio station and what we're doing here, television stations, are becoming more and more popular because they are totally necessary to get truthful messages out to people. Otherwise, you're stuck with the BBC and these highly censored big stations that don't want people to know what is going on, do not want people to be educated, and are training the brain they want. And these tiny stations, listen, we work very, very hard here, I tell you. It seems like an easy job, but I promise you it isn't.
You come here.
And Keith is keeping this going. God bless him. Because, we've been in some very sticky situations here where he said, I think we're going to have to pack it in. And we all
we've
said,
always
no,
got out of it.
No, we got out of it. And we will continue to do so. Because what we're doing here is necessary.
It's very valuable. But with family, I want to go back to that. I mean, I know your sister was very successful.
Yes.
And you were successful.
Yeah.
Well, you were one of three?
Yes, I was the baby of the family. Jill was a very successful singer, entertainer. Her name was Jill Day. She was a marvelous human being, absolutely lovely. Her career was really cut short, though, because she lost her eldest son, a little boy of 7, with leukemia. And my darling Jill was a fighter. She fought one battle that she couldn't win, that fate had no intention of letting her win. And it destroyed her. She died of a broken heart. Yes. Yeah. I have a brother who, I fell in love with at a very, very young age. I used to follow him all over the place and embarrass him terribly. My brother Bert Page, who's known in Lewis, a wonderful, lovely, lovely man, wanted nothing for himself at all, only wanted success for other people. He had 2 sons, William, Spencer, lovely boys, and his wife, Olive, is still alive. It was a wonderful, successful marriage.
What was her name?
Olive.
Okay.
Yes, she's still with us and doing well. So I have, William has now 1, 2, 3 grandchildren. Charlie has, his eldest son, has 1 son, and Alice has 2 beautiful little girls. So William is blessed, and I'm the great aunt all the time, but hopefully they will remember me occasionally. So I try to keep myself in the light there a little bit, but I'm blessed. I mean, there's some people out there with no family at all. Losing my brother, I was a carer to my mother for many, many years. And we shared our life, and we lived in a 1-bedroom bungalow, so we must have liked one another, I tell you. But that was an incredible experience in my life. After all the traveling I'd done, knew the lot, knew everything. When you're a carer, and your mother would agree with me with this, when you are a carer and you have to make certain decisions for another human being, it's a job of great responsibility. And it's 24/7 because you bring in somebody to take care of them. No, she was nice, but she's not nice as you. I want you. All they want is your presence. That's all. Don't want anything else. And that can be a big responsibility because my mother was very ill, and I had to make the decisions for her. And always, when your mother dies, it's devastating because there's no one there to take care of me anymore.
How long
When
ago?
I've been the carer for quite a few years. The job was reversed, but it's still your mother. And back of your mind, she takes care of me. It was a shock when I lost my mum, but she was 83, and she'd had a good life. Yes, she had a good life. She had my father, who she worshipped. Well, we all did. Daddy was super clever. He was on boy, was he ever? So yes, she did have, and my family always said, because I was the youngest and the unmarried one, statistically, it's generally the case. And I suppose that's right too, because, my brother Bertie had his family. He couldn't be there taking care of her all the time. And my sister was in London, and she was very ill up there. She couldn't have done what was necessary down there. So that responsibility fell on me, and generally does fall on the youngest, who doesn't have a family and doesn't have a home. And so, okay, then it's in that order. And quite frankly, I don't think that's too shocking.
No.
I really don't.
Well, my mum, my mum will most likely be the living carer for my grandparents. She's the oldest one, but both my aunt, I've only got one aunt. She has a family as well.
Yes.
So 2 families,
Yes.
2 kids. So it'll be my mum's job to do that.
Yes, I think I'm sure she'll
But
do it
Mum's
very
been doing
well,
that
because
for-
she's been a carer all her life, hasn't she? All her adult life.
Yeah. How long has she been? She's been a carer for 15 years. 15 years, so quite a while.
But when I lost my mother, naturally, it was very emotional.
How
my
long ago
mother's
did she
gone.
pass away?
Oh God, it's well over 20 years now. But after my mother died, it was 18 months, and I lost my brother. And that was harder on me to lose my brother than it was to lose my mum. It took me a long time to get over that, because we were so very close, Bertie and myself. It was a wonderful man. If ever you had problems or anything like that, you don't need a therapist. Go down the road and have a pint with Bert Page. He'd put you right in an hour. And he did. He really did. It was magic. Absolute magic. I can't talk about him or that, because I cried, and I'm wearing mascara, and I don't want to look awful. But I tell you something, the elderly, we cry pretty easily. It's not difficult to weep when you get older. I don't know what that's all about, but I don't care anymore. I mean, who gives a sod? So I cry. But nobody likes a cry baby, so it does have to be controlled. But so losing Bertie was really awful for me. I lost a friend, I lost a brother, and I lost a bloody good psychiatrist too. I don't know. Broken romances. Oh God, he'd fix you up so easily, so quickly with all the right words. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Go on, my darling. I can't talk anymore.
Okay. Well, I was just looking for a clip to go to. We'll go to this one. This is Leslie's People. And you will see in the window of this shop. In the window of the shop of Leslie's People, you'll see a painting, and one of the paintings is of Keith. So keep an eye out for that. You'll see a painting of Keith in there. Here we go.
Hello, welcome to Lewis.
Behind me you can see the cancer research shop windows, but they are unusually empty. any other year, you would be seeing Leslie Hills painting right here. She is painting the people of Lewis. They are many recognizable faces. Today, we're speaking to one of these people behind the paintings.
My name is Tony Kalume, but most people call me Anthony Kalume. That's what my mom used to call me. So I am actually one of the few people from Lewis who have been working with the police around hate crime. So we've been, when I say we, it's Diversity Lewis is a group that was formed 10 years ago. And we were actually concerned about the level of racism within the town. So we managed to get a few people who were really up for a challenge. So we started this group knowing that it's not going to be easy. And most people were saying Lewis is not a racist town. And some people are saying, oh yes, Lewis is a racist town. So we had polarity. So we managed to get people to come over and have a meeting at the Pelham House. And we called it Have Your Say. So we got people together and we managed to get an Eventbrite event where you had to get your emails. So from that emails, we got a mailing list. So from that mailing list, we had a meeting where everybody brainstormed and said, oh, we need more talks about cultural things. Some people say, oh, we just need somewhere to have fun, you know, venue, to have music, food, fashion. So what happened is we had different ideas. People came with, let's celebrate Black History Month. So we managed to have an international soup festival where everybody came with soup from all over the world. You know, so we had soup from Czech Republic, we had soup from Iran, we had soup from Thailand, we had soup from Kenya, we had soup from England, you know. So we got everybody together, and some of the restaurants, the Indian restaurant, they offered. They said, oh, we'll give you some soup for free. So we had quite a lot of soup, so we called it the International Soup Festival. And it ran for 4 years, you know, at the All Saints Center. And everybody came there, you know, because there was no class, there was no age, it was multi-generational, and it worked quite well because we had shots. So people used to have shots of soup and go to the next stall, have a shot of soup. If they like it, then they sit down and then they buy a bowl, you know, for $5 or something, you know. So it was so well organized and it was so appreciated that it became claustrophobic. The place became too small for the. So we had to stop, you know, 2 years ago. We stopped doing the soup festival, but it was quite a good way to bring cohesion within. So we've been doing events like in the restaurants, you know, people want some music, so we've been doing that. And then Leslie knows what I do because I did a vigil for George Floyd in June when George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, and it was just for members of Diversity Lewis. So I thought maybe 30 people will come. You know, you put an event on Facebook and yeah, I'm going. It was like, oh, only 12 people said they're going, so it's okay. So I went there, put got the photograph of George Floyd. I just magnified it big. So I was walking down the street with it. And then suddenly I see all these people, you know, because I told everybody to dress in black. And I was looking everywhere. Wow. You know, there are so many people. And there are like more than 5,000 people turned up, you know. And I was like, what? So what we did, I had anticipated something like that, but I didn't expect so many. So I had stewards. Some of the members were high vis and started giving them physical distance. So it went all the way up to the court. You know, the court, and then some of it spilled down to the Session Street here in Lewis. So it was such a occasion, you know. And then what we did, we had 8 minutes of silence, you know, and 48 seconds, just because that's how long that somebody stayed on somebody's knee and died, you know. So we did that for 8 minutes, which was quite a long time, but it was quite short. When you saw all the people there, and then there was somebody with a drone who took aerial shots, and I'm so sad nobody took a video of it. But still, you can see the physical distance of the crowd. So, yeah, we've been doing events like that. We've been working with the police around hate crime. We've been working with the schools, going to assemblies and speaking about your identity and where you come from, you know, just to get people to know that we are all the same. Racism is something that you learn and you can unlearn. So, and I've been working also with universities, you know, doing, you know, work with the Heritage Lottery Fund. We got some funding from the Heritage Lottery Fund. So we've been working with the museums, Royal Pavilion Museums, and we did an exhibition called Fashion Cities Africa, which brought designers from North Africa, which is Casablanca, and then South Africa, Johannesburg. Then we got people from the West, Lagos, and then from the East, Nairobi. And we brought all their fashion into Brighton Museum. And people came even from America just to see it, because it has never been done like that before. You know, everybody thinks, oh, people dress in Africa in skins, or they dress in so when they saw contemporary, you know, artists who even Beyonce and all these Rihanna actually wear their you know, designs, it was amazing, you know. So it was contemporary African city fashion, you know. So it was a different look at people and seeing that our main aim is to celebrate our differences. That's what we do. I think that's what Leslie liked about it.
When did Leslie paint you?
Actually, we met in December last year, and she said, "There's a competition in January. I want to enter, and I need you to I need to take your portrait of you." So I said, okay, fine. So I sent her some pictures. She said, no, I don't want it like that. You know, I want it like this. I said, okay, then take a picture then. So she took a picture of the way she wanted, because I'd given her a full, I said, no, I just want your face, but looking that side. So she came and took a picture of me, and that was in December. And then she said the competition is in January. So I don't know if she submitted it or not, because I haven't seen her for quite a while because of the pandemic.
Okay, so welcome
Hello.
back.
Hi.
So we are about to finish. We've got about 5 minutes left, and we've been through a lot today. We've covered lots of subjects.
Yes, we haven't done too badly, have
Yeah,
we?
it's been nice. I've enjoyed it. It's been nice. Thank you for coming in. I thought it was just going to be me today, but Keith then joined.
No.
That was a nice surprise.
Listen, I really love coming here. I think we do a bit of good, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But as always, what is the most important thing that you think we've spoken about today?
The most important, I would think, that mutilation of these
Children.
young children. I think that wipes out anything else we had to say. Would you agree?
NHS finally admitted that it was just a phase. Which it is. It
Yeah.
is, but it took them
Yeah.
long enough.
They were a long time realizing that.
It was
They
only-
were a long time realizing that.
It was this year. It was only this year that they stopped transitioning children under the age of 18.
So this was going on, and the public didn't know about it.
Oh no, the public know about it, but it's inclusive to trans people, so it's a good thing. Mutilating children. Again, even though I'm not
Do
the
you
average
think? Do you honestly think that they're ever going to stop?
but I don't even think right now I could make a life-changing decision, let alone at 13 years old. And these surgeries are irreversible. Once you're on these hormone blockers, I mean, this is the same stuff Michael Jackson was on to keep him as a little boy. So we already know how it turns out in the end. You end up you turn into a crazy person.
Yeah, and it's all this medication. Everything is medication, drugs all the time.
They always find
whether
new
it's to
diseases.
shoot up, yes, and
ADHD, which let me just say, I know people who have that, and Stuart says he has it as well. ADHD in children, I do not believe is real. I think it's just children being hyperactive.
I would agree.
As a child,
yes.
But
But
I
they
will,
put them on tranquilizers to tone them down and make them docile.
obviously they don't call it tranquilizers. But we are going to leave you off on that very controversial note.
Yes.
But thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. You're always a savior when you come on here and help me through the day. Because talking to yourself for 2.5 hours, it's
I listen.
It's
I think
difficult.
I think you do pretty well. I really do.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.